Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about forceps pliers and how they are an underrated everyday carry plier. There's lots of different types of forceps and they're all very exciting everyday carry plier options that we don't talk enough about. There's lots of different types of forceps, and in the title I say hemostat forceps, but not all forceps are hemostats. Now, if I'm not mistaken, a pair of hemostat forceps will have teeth on their jaws, though just because your forceps have teeth on their jaws doesn't make them hemostats. But I'm not going to go into the differences here as I'm not a medical expert and I'm not an expert on forceps. Instead, I'm going to talk about the different forceps I found that can be a great addition to your everyday carry, both regular forceps and fishing forceps. Let's talk about regular forceps. They come in many different sizes. All the ones I have here are 5-inch pliers, and I'll show you this here. I find this to be a great size for most tiny sort of needle nose style tasks that can reach deep as well, and they all have that locking mechanism. Now, these silver forceps were given to me by a friend who's a doctor, so they have likely actually been used in surgery at some point. These straight edge guys actually have no grip on the jaws, and the curved ones have teeth on the jaws, but the teeth are a little bit worn, as you can see here, and it's hard to see. Hopefully this is showing up in the video, but the teeth don't actually touch anymore, especially when it's fully locked. Now, I picked up these black pair because the teeth are brand new and really grippy, and you have the curved pair and the straight pair, and both have teeth, and I really like that. Now, the weight of these pliers are fantastic. You can see here, that is 23 grams for, I think, the heaviest, and about 20 grams for the lowest. So all of these are roughly around the 20 to 23 grams. You can't really get pliers that are this capable and also that low weight. So this can be in your pocket all day. You will never feel its weight. Banana Forescale, please subscribe. So now we've talked about these, let's talk about the fishing forceps. I have two pairs. I have the Kingfisher and have the Dr. Slicks. So let's talk about the Kingfishers first. This is the red 6-inch version. I really like the look of these. It's very distinct. They have that red textured grip on the handle, which feels very good. And it has that larger hole so that you can get more than 2 fingers in there. So you have a lot of control. I really like that a lot. Though using these pliers are a bit annoying because the black coating here, you can see here on the scissors, the black coating is wiping away. And you can see, hopefully, if I put the mic close, so they have that little bit of a sound when you open and close them, and they actually sort of stick. That's because of the black coating and how tight that little screw is. And now I've tried adjusting it, but it is locked in there. It's not coming out, and I don't want to strip the screw, so I left that alone. The locking mechanism is quite good. You have 3 locks, and everything's great. However, they are not polished up or anything, so they're actually sort of sharp. You actually have to be careful. You could actually cut yourself on there. They have a cool little pick function right here underneath the pivot point, and that's called a pin and shank designed for cleaning hook eyes, as these are fishing pliers. The very tips there are smooth, and then they have a textured cross-hatched jaw, and it feels pretty grippy to the hand. I actually like those. Now, these pliers are big. These are only 6-inch pliers, and you can see compared to the 5-inch regular pliers, there is that extra almost 1.25 inches on them. But look at the size overall difference, the thickness, everything. They're much bigger. And as a result, these weigh 78 grams, which is almost 3.4 times what the regular forceps weigh. Now, as a side note, before I discuss the scissors, I want to call back to the Buck Splizzers that I have, which is also a fishing multi-tool, which also has a plier tip and scissors. Now, these scissors are replaceable, and I've already done a review on those. You can check that out. but I think it's kind of fun that you can get various different fishing multi-tools that work for a lot of different things. Now, I have mixed feelings about the scissors. They seem pretty capable, but I understand why the scissor part ends abruptly. So if you can see this here, the scissor part is here and then it ends right there. Now it still cuts all the way there, but because it has a lip right there, it can tend to rip some materials when you cut through them. If I cut through there, when I go all the way to the end, it has a straight cut here and then it rips right there. That's something that all of these scissor pliers tend to do. The Dr. Slicks do it. The Buck Splizzers I just showed do it. It's not the best thing for cutting paracords. And then I'll do a little bit of a longer one out. This is a little wick, a waxed wick. It cuts through those no problem. These are thinner strands of the paracord. It will cut through them no problem. And then this is like a little fishing line that's inside the paracord. And it cuts through them a little bit, but you really have to find the right spot. And these are serrated scissors, just FYI. And you also have to be careful because of that when you're using that, because of that pick, because I literally just grabbed into that and hurt myself. So that's one of the downsides to these scissors. Now, here is a banana force scale. Next, let's talk about the Dr. Slicks scissor clamps. Now, I got these because I thought these scissors would be better, since instead of ending abruptly, you can see here that they actually have scissors for the full length. Now, they are not as long as this, the scissors on the Kingfishers, but they are still pretty good. When it comes to cutting paper, you can see the rip here that the Kingfishers did. When I do that, you can see the rip isn't nearly as bad as the Kingfishers, but there is still a little bit of a rip near the end. For most things, it's not going to be a problem. You can see here that I have a package that arrived, and I used the scissors of my Dr. Slicks to open up the strapping on them, and it was pretty capable. And now I'm doing this one-handed, so it was a little difficult, but you can see that they work really well. When it comes to paracord here, they cut the paracord through just maybe a little bit more difficult than the Kingfishers. And I found that if you push this that way and pull that way, you can get a nicer cut. It's not the most perfect cut for paracord, but smaller things like this work just fine. If you go through these guys, they work just fine. And this little fishing wire works just fine. Now let's talk about the weight of these things. These are 51 grams, which is roughly 2.2 times as much as these regular forceps, but they do have the scissors and they do have some extra features that we'll go into in a second. These lock really well. The locks are nice and smooth. You're not going to cut yourself on those locks. They have 1 and 2 locking positions instead of 3. It has that pin and shank design here, which again, if you like it, that's great. I might remove mine actually if I ever decide to daily carry these. The plier tips are smooth at the end, and then they have a cross-hatched jaw that is relatively grippy. I like them a lot. Now, while they don't have any grip on the handles, they're still really nice to use, but what they do have on the handle is a flathead screwdriver bit. Dr. Slick says in their marketing material for these clamps specifically that this is the closest item they make to a multi-tool. And while I think the flathead is a fun addition, in practice, I've actually cut myself on these because I've tried daily carrying these, and when they're in my pocket like this, downward like this, and I reach in, I'm to my pocket to grab my keys or anything like that, I'm always cutting myself on this flathead because it's relatively sharp actually. You can see here in this video, I'm continuing to open up the box and I'm just using the flathead of this to open up the tape and everything, and it goes through it really easily. I'd prefer this flathead to not be there, and if I decide I'm going to actually end up daily carrying this one again because I want the scissors, I'm actually going to take a Dremel and I'm going to remove that pinion and I'm going to remove that flathead. Because again, if you put these in your pocket with this side up, you risk cutting your hand every time you go into your pocket. Here is a banana force scale. Now, I want to talk about some words of caution, okay? A big thing people say about these pliers and why you should carry them is that these pliers could save your life. And they could, but most likely, since you don't know what you're doing, you are not a trained medical professional, they could just give you a false confidence and actually cost you your life. So I find that to be sensationalized nonsense. You're not putting these pliers in your everyday carry to save a life. You're doing it because these make grabbing stuff easier, okay? Especially with the Kingfishers or the Dr. Slicks, okay? Because they have the scissors on there. And if you're not super steady, you could just as easily cut a blood vessel with these as you could clamp it. And even on that topic, even if you have these regular guys, you might clamp the wrong vessel because you don't know what you're doing. I know it seems like it could be a simple thing. We've all seen movies where they use these and they clamp the blood vessel. But you are not a trained medical professional. And if you're doing this, you could be taking a risk that could actually hurt someone more than it could help them because you don't know what you're doing despite what you may have read or seen in movies. I would recommend carrying these regular forceps as an everyday carry plier and only get the fishing style forceps if they're on sale or if you fish. And if you want to know more about these buck slizzers, check out my video here. Thanks for watching.